Cyber attack has disrupted computers at Russia's biggest oil company as well as Ukrainian banks, several others, multinational firms. And this is a virus similar to the ransomware that infected more than 300,000 computers in May. The rapidly spreading cyber extortion campaign, which began yesterday, underscored growing concerns that businesses have failed to secure their networks from increasingly aggressive hackers. Businesses in the Asia-Pacific region are reporting some disruptions today, with the operations of several European companies also hit. Victims have to pay ransom in bitcoins before they can use their computers again. Well, let's discuss. I'm joined by Arthur Goldstuck from World Wide Worx. Always a pleasure to have you with us, Arthur. So apparently wreaking havoc around the world, ports attacked from Mumbai to Los Angeles, Australia, a chocolate factory hit. How big is this? Because it seems to have exploded quite quickly.
Very soon after it started yesterday, there were indications it was going to be far bigger than the WannaCry ransomware from last month. And potentially this is going to be one of the biggest the world has ever seen, if it carries on spreading. The difference between this and WannaCry was that there was what they call a kill switch built into the WannaCry ransomware. So it could be switched off by disabling a website or taking over a website that in effect was the kill switch. This one has got no kill switch. There's no limit to its spread.
Apparently Germany has brought down a site that gave you details to pay and things like that, but no stopping it as yet.
In fact, all that did was prevent people from paying the ransom.
So now they're stuck with no way to get out of it.
I suspect that was actually the intention. My personal suspicion is that they didn't expect to get a lot of ransomware out of it. They're probably testing the system to see how far it can spread. It looks like they spent a lot of time and resources developing the ransomware from last month's WannaCry attack. This looked a lot more professional, and in fact they hacked into the system of a Ukrainian accounting software company, injected the malware or virus into their updates that were then sent out by that company to their users. And it seemed like one of the shipping lines in Denmark was using that software as well, at least in part of their system.
Sure.
So they got infected.
I was wondering, because you don't see Ukraine as this country integrated into the world system. So that's how it happened.
That seems to be.
Sales.
So far, that's the indication. Some very sharp-eyed guy spotted the fact that Maersk, the Danish shipping line, had advertised for people on the HR side. They'd advertised for people with skills in this MeDoc accounting software from the Ukraine. So clearly they were using it somewhere. So that shows that it could spread anywhere, and then from there it's designed to spread to vulnerable networks. So any network that hasn't had those patches that Microsoft warned about back in March is vulnerable to this attack.
Okay, so what you're saying, and I've seen that written as well, because the ransom was $300, so it's not that big. So people are saying there's an ulterior motive here. It's spreading quickly. This sounds like a Batman movie or futuristic movies where computers start shutting down around the world. How cataclysmic could it be if it just carries on and on, or they learn from this one and get better and the next one's even bigger?
It's astonishing that after the previous attack that people didn't learn that their systems are still vulnerable, and there are ways to patch a system or protect a network from this kind of malware. So for example, the way it works is it encrypts all the files on your system. The idea is that you pay them to decrypt it, but of course they can't accept the payment because that address has been disabled. So your systems are going to stay encrypted unless you have a backup for that system. So there's two routes that you've got to go. One is you have to have backups for everything, all your data. But the other is your security has to be set up in such a way that it does not allow automatic encryption of your files, or even manual encryption without a number of override or fail-safe protections. If you prevent your system from accepting encryption, then these kind of encryption tools and ransomware tools can't work.
Okay, so not everybody is vulnerable. It depends if you've protected yourself. And could it have a good effect in that companies, anyone dealing with networks will wisen up now?
If the previous one didn't wake people up, this one should wake them up. And I think any network administrator anywhere in the world who doesn't wake up from this shouldn't be in their job.
And it's not like they're getting better and better at cracking the codes that are out there.
It's not about cracking the code if you're a network administrator. It's not about getting better at understanding the issues. It's that you're getting better at doing the job you're supposed to be doing all the time. So, for example, keeping your software up to date. With Windows, it's essential that you have the latest version of the software on your system, the latest security patches especially. Those get released regularly. But then with your security software and systems, that needs to be updated regularly and patched regularly. Now, most of the world's leading security systems, and here I can mention names like Kaspersky, Checkpoint, and ESET, who have all been tracking this particular virus, and they've explained how their existing systems can in fact protect people. All of those have safeguards in place to prevent ransomware from infecting the system. So if your antivirus system or your security or firewall or whatever security system you use doesn't have that kind of functionality, then you're either using the wrong one or you're using it incorrectly.
Okay, so you need if you're a lone individual with a computer in South Africa, you need a good antivirus. Do we know if it's hit this country yet?
It has hit this country. ESET released statistics that showed that about 0.03% of infections have been detected in South Africa. So it's a very small proportion, very few companies, but it is here. So companies have to be sure that they're not vulnerable if they haven't yet been attacked.
And this is computers, but you are looking at mobile vulnerabilities as well. Your report coming out next month. Can you just give us any idea? Because that's also, we think we use our phone and it's safe, but it's not.
Absolutely. We're releasing our new Internet Access in South Africa report next week, in fact. And one of our findings is a potential massive growth in new smartphone users who will then also become new internet users. And when you're a new user, you're on the internet for the first time, you don't understand the dangers, you don't understand how vulnerable you are or how to protect yourself. So we're going to find that the vulnerability of ordinary consumers to viruses and malware is going to grow in the next few years as people move from basic phones to smartphones, and it'll just keep growing. So we expect it to get better all the time, but in fact it gets worse all the time.
All right, I think we need a slot just on phone security soon. Thank you for your time this evening. Arthur Goldstuck from World Wide Worx.